What's the closest you've ever been to a real-life porn scenario? A girl I knew asked if I could come over to help her move some boxes left by the previous tenant of her apartment. I arrive and knock on the door. It was open and she was clearly home. She had described the previous tenant as a scary guy who was causing some problems, so I was slightly concerned. So I go ahead and walk in, and right as I was about to call out her name, she walks into the room naked. Oh yeah, but then she screamed, covered herself and ran into the other room. Turns out it wasn't an intentional nude welcome. She had just gotten out of the shower and hadn't heard me knock. We're still good friends though. I got left behind by my friend on a trip and I had to get a ride with a stranger. Two beautiful blonde girls said they'd take me back to the city. We were in a trail in Banff and we were talking on the way back. When we were close to the city they asked me, "So, do you have plans for tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I already have." They seemed bummed and I didn't really think that through and got to the hotel. I hate myself for that even today. A girl from my class invited me over to her place to fix her laptop. Nothing's broken, just reinstalled some apps and some. She's been looking at me like meal the whole time. Eventually, I walked out of that house proud of myself and still a godless virgin. Good thing I'm stupid. When the hot teacher said, "Okay, let's go get you some books," then the two of us proceeded to go in a classroom filled with books, but empty of people. Then I got my books. A girl once looked at me on the bus. I had sex once. My hand got trapped in some sort of contraption in the school. The girlfriend of a buddy asked me to come to her apartment to fix the internet. At several points I thought she wanted to make a move. If she did, I didn't notice and I wouldn't have done anything. I fixed it and went home. Another time a girl, on again off again GF of a buddy, asked me to come over and teach her some things on guitar. She definitely wanted to screw around, but her cock-blocking sister was there and was really kind of annoying. She was constantly angry about something. Another time a girl asked me to come over for her birthday party in her small dorm room. I didn't because she said she invited a bunch of people and I didn't know her that well and wasn't in the mood at all for being in a small dorm room with lots of people. Apparently she asked only a few people who came during the day and were gone in the evening when she was expecting me to come. We had a couple come into the supermarket I was working at and proceed to try and make a porno in the frozen pea chest freezer. My ex had a friend that rented a new place. She was lonely and upset since her boyfriend left her. We were in the living room watching TV. She goes on saying that we should stay and keep company. My ex, she said, we are all gonna cuddle on the same bed. My dumbass said I have to go home to my dog. I think I went home and even my dog was upset with me. When my dishwasher was broken and my neighbor came over to fix it, all sweaty and burly. Though he left without further escalation. "You're the best, Dad." Senior asked to switch classes with me to get the better teacher. She was willing to do anything. When I clarified anything, she just repeated anything. And then I didn't switch. Fuck if I'm gonna deal with a worse teacher for 1 year for 3 min of pleasure. I work in the catering service industry. A lot of that random porn shit you see in movies does happen. It's lower key, but yeah, servers fuck each other a lot, and younger servers, like the 19 to 22-year-olds, fuck the chef's cooks all the time. It's like a high school movie sometimes. Never works out well, but it happens. If it makes anyone happy, out of the dozens of places I've worked at, very, very rarely happens on the premises. They'd be fired on the spot. But people fuck in random places and usually make it discreet, so I dunno. But to answer the question, I did have sex outside of a catering van in an apple orchard. I don't even know if we were even into each other, but the setting was so brilliantly beautiful it was hard not to. In France, on skiing holiday, we were hanging out in the receptionist's apartment. We made friends with the girls working behind the counter and we were smoking weed. Me and one of the girls hadn't done anything yet, but I could feel the tension between us. She was laying on her bed on her side with her back and butt turned towards me, and I was sitting next to her on the bed while my friends were just chilling and we were just talking and listening to music. I was very slightly touching her with my hand, but I was way too awkward by the weed to really make a move. At one point one of my friends said, "We're gonna go to our room." But I feel like someone wants to stay, and I looked at her and said, "Can I stay for a bit?" She turned at me, looked me deep into my eyes and said, "Yeah, sure, we can talk." The whole time of my friends walking out of the door, which was probably taking about a minute or so, we just kept on looking at each other, knowing what was going to happen, and as soon as the door closed, we instantly started making out. Crazy sex right afterwards. Hottest situation I've been in until now, no doubt. I was employed by a company as a teen coach, and I was coaching a team of clients for a few months. One day, the actual client, the perfect definition of a MILF, asked me to come with her in her office. Then I proceeded to read the thank you email she wanted to send to my team. So that's that. When I was dating two girls at once who were also dating each other. Would come home from work with both GFS waiting for me. It was a good time to be alive. But just like you'd expect, it ended in a giant ball of fiery shit. I was 20, living at home. Parents had gone on holiday. I didn't know what settings to use on the washing machine, which was in the garage, and I had the garage door open. The MILF next door, quite young for a MILF, who I'd had flirty conversations with, saw me and said hi. I asked her what setting I should use, expecting her to shout the answer. But instead she started walking over, asked what I was washing, then she walked into the garage, squatted down in front of the washing machine to look at the dials. I noticed that her head was exactly at the right height for me. I was wearing gray jogging bottoms, sweatpants, and no underwear. I got a semi-thinking as she turned dials. I'm sure she knew and turned whilst squatted down and looked at the outline of it and then up at me, and she stood up, told me what settings she'd used and why. She hooked her thumbs into her jean short pockets and stood next to me as we both looked at the washing machine, making small talk, feeling the tension. Then her little finger started brushing against my hip and then thigh. I had to make a decision to hide the fact that I was hard or not, but I didn't, it was obvious, and I got properly turned on. Both not mentioning it as I stood there embarrassed and hard and her fingers tracing over it. I looked at her. We kissed. Then she immediately dropped to her knees, lifted her top above her bra, and pulled my sweatpants down, smiled as she tapped my cock on her tongue. She spat on it and stroked it up and down, the first time anyone had ever done that for me, and then she went to town. Deep-throating me when I finished, which was pretty quickly, and she swallowed it all. She pulled her top down, kissed my cheek, and said to let her know if any of my laundry shrinks. She had such skills, felt like she was trying to show she wasn't just a mom, but the hottest part was the scenario and how it developed. When I was stealing all those lemons. Banged my girlfriend and her two lesbian friends one night. It was the best night of my life so far. A couple years before I met my wife, a girl I used to work with who became a stripper called me up to hang out one night after not seeing her for a long time and ended up sleeping with her and her girlfriend. They were both terrible, so it wasn't as cool as it sounds. My hairdresser invited me to her friend's wedding. At the end of the night I dropped her off and she said, "Okay, now come inside so I can give you a blowjob before you go home." After the deed she told me she needed to go to sleep and walked me out. Everyone at the salon knows. We're still friends. It was really cool. Saw a girl once. I once got a pizza delivered, the box was full when it arrived though. The older Zumba instructor and I became close, we'd talk and run on the track at the gym, and I was telling her I was virgin, and she said she'd fuck me, and I chickened out. My greatest regret, she is still really beautiful. I thought I'd fuck it up or something. Instead I should have taken her to the DoubleTree Hotel nearby and have her teach me so many things. Walked in on my GF's parents going at it on the living room couch. They were very liberal. Means they saw us enter and didn't stop. My GF was mortified. Me? Not so much. Her mom was hot. I was drinking with two female friends. One mentioned we should have a threesome. After some discussion, we started fooling around. Our other friend, also female, walks in and says, "What's going on in here?" The three of us just kind of froze. Without saying anything else, she just joined us. For the record, I doubt I'd believe anyone telling me this story, so I really don't blame you guys if you don't either. I've been in real life porn before, so I guess pretty damn close. Lol. Oh right, another more recent one. I invited my Gifrian's hot girlfriend, my girlfriend's Polly, to a party. She brought her other hot girlfriend, who was into me, and they wanted a threesome. I declined because my girlfriend wasn't there. The more you say it, the more it sounds like a convoluted foursome plot where my girlfriend finds us all and joins in. During English class, the teacher gave me a piece of paper, and when I looked at her, she smiled at me, but it turned out to be just an activity, and I was the first to receive the paper. Did a random late night run to get food with some friends at about 2 a.m. While we were there, we ended up running into two girls that we knew. They came over to talk to us and told us that they had just got off working their shift as shot girls at the strip club. They asked us what we were about to do and told them that we were gonna go drink at our buddy's place and asked if they wanted to come. Sure enough, they did, and after some time they stripped down to their outfits. I left with one girl to go get some alcohol, and as we were pulling off, she told me that her friend wanted to hook up with one of my friends. Then she said, "Well, we actually want to hook up with both of you at the same time." I whipped the car around, picked them up, drove 35 minutes to the girl's empty house, and next thing you know, my buddy and I are getting topped off right next to each other. The girls decide to switch it up on who they're giving head to, and unfortunately for him, the other girl gets my buddy to nut. Only 5 minutes into it. It was in that moment I knew that the weight of our reputation rested on my shoulders. I tried almost every move I could remember seeing on threesome porns, going at it for what seemed like eternity, and eventually made one of the girls tap. The other girl that lasted asked me to fuck her mouth and cum on her face because it was good for her skin. I was in heaven. I had hooked up with one of the girls previously, but the other girl that I hadn't told her friend I'm using him too whenever I need some dick, hope you don't mind, ended up becoming known as the friend that could fuck till the sun came up. That was my porn scenario. Worked at an adult bookstore when I was fresh out of high school. Occasionally we would have porn stars come in and sign autographs and take pics and such. Took Nina Hartley out to dinner after her event as she wasn't leaving until the next day and didn't know our town. Her husband ate dinner with us and invited me to take her up to their room while he went and saw a movie. Ex-wife and babysitter threesome after a night out. Crazy is fun but expensive. I was at my friend's house who is openly gay. He was having his boyfriend over, him a guy. I was checking my email on his computer and I hear smooching sounds, so I turn around and they are kissing. My friend says, "This bed is big enough for all of us, wanna join in?" He was joking because he knew I'm as straight as the boner I had right there and then. They come, but I knew he would go for it if I would agree. So I laughed and kindly declined. When I was 18-ish, my friend, a girl, brought her friend, also a girl, over because she knew I didn't get any at the time, and apparently her friend didn't mind fucking a stranger. I was really embarrassed, so I didn't go for it. My friend had been down on her luck with guys. She kept making flirty comments to her guy friends that she and I were just gonna hook up 'cause boys are stupid. 2 weeks later, I'm meeting her out in a hot tub at 2 a.m. One of my professors said she wanted to say goodbye to me properly in an email after I graduated. I still wonder what exactly she had in mind. I went to the waterfalls with my boyfriend and we almost had sex in the bushes. We would probably do it if a family with a child didn't appear. My roommate and her best friend burst into my room at night demanding they sleep in my bed. The best friend even showed me her boobs to try to get in. But the catch? They didn't want me in it. For context, my roommate had a terrible bed and would take naps in mine to make up for the horrible sleep. Then they went out drinking and thought it would be a good idea to try to get me to trade beds for the night. It was big enough for the three of us, but they want that.